Connecting. Connecting to multiple streaming platforms using Streamlabs Desktop. DJ Zed, fire it up. Let's get out of this portal of infinity to my desktop. Get into that starting screen. Good afternoon, good evening. Whoa, that's way too loud, DJ Zed. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, and good night to you. Hello, hello, and welcome, friends. I cannot listen to the sound of my own voice while talking. It short circuits my entire brain. You've seen it in action. It's really sad. Hello, and welcome, friends. Thank you for being here. It's another day. Now, yesterday I got kind of derailed and spent way more time doing art stuff, which was fun. We managed to, oh, that's right, we're already in that. We managed to achieve a couple of cool things, which I now don't have at the ready. I thought I had them lined up to show you. But if you missed out, oh, so we went through an AI phase, and we ended up with this, but hold on, let me back this up. Let me show you where we started with. We started with this screenshot from Unity, which we're about to play. I don't know the character, because I haven't gotten far enough in the game. I'm still in the very first chapter. I haven't even done the very first real quest yet. Like I did the intro chapter. Okay, from that screenshot, I isolated the character, and I did a blue line sketch, which I then separated out. The shoes look like hooves. I'm terrible at feet, folks. Here, let's switch this so you can see this better. But the fun part, that's an old one that I did something similar with. I forget if it's a photo that I took or a photo that I found on a free photo app thing for using in graphics stuff. But I decided to try my hand at painty things with it. So we went with, this is like a really abstract, like rough draft version of the painting part. But the end result looked a little more like this. Hold on. So there's the rough draft version with my official signature on it. Here's the actual like final draft of Mystery Woman. Mystery, what's the French word I can use instead of woman? Or La Femme Mysterio. I don't know how you would conjugate mysterious. Or pronounce it. De Assassin's Creed Unity. I don't know how you would pronounce that into French. Then I took the line art and went back to, this is a line art sketch that I sort of made using the original clip, right? And then I ran it through some AI and we got some fun results. Some of them are actually very cool and very usable that I would probably reuse. Like I would resketch these ladies to get their jawlines and their faces and then and like the eyebrows and stuff. Then I tried it with color, and we got completely different and interesting results, and yet also very similar. I like the interesting blue halo. If this right there inspired something, and like the fact that her hair has like a invisible, translucent blue, like pseudo Assassin's Creed hood. Like a magical, ethereal, I like it. Then there's an actual, we changed it up and we lowered the, you know how you can alter, on this particular app, you can alter, if you don't know, like the percentage of how strictly it adheres to your input image, right? I really like this one. I think I published that one. And this is a different generator, a different AI set from Wombo. And this one was ultimately my favorite because it reflected on its own the painting splashy bits, some of it anyways. And I can imagine then taking one of these, retracing it with a different color. Like I would do a green and I would do a color accurate line. I can't believe I hadn't thought of that yet. I'm gonna pick one to do. I don't know which one. I really like this one, but I wish it wasn't wearing a hood. I really like this one, but I'm not a super huge fan of her face. Where's the one that I published? Is this the one I published? I don't like the weird jacket that's not, I mean, not jacket. The jacket that's got half cape, but it doesn't show up in the background. Then we changed AI bots. We got some other results. They're not in chronological order. I guess they must be in reverse chronological order or something. I don't know. Dream AI by Wombo Art. Oh, I think I really liked this one. This one, she's actually like her hands are accurate and the knife is accurate. I would just get rid of that extra like shadow of the knife or whatever that is. The only one with a hat that I actually liked. The AI tried to generate a lot of hat wearing lady pirate things, and I was just like, no, thank you. This one's awesome. So like I would go in. The idea that I've had now is to go back in, and so like this one's primarily green. So I would use green line wherever it's green, and white where it's white, red where it's red. This one's also very cool, and I love that this one had like bloody blood splashes. I would accentuate that. Oh, okay, so we got here. We're full circle. We got to this rendering, or one of these that I really like. There we go. This is the one. And then I was like, I wonder what would happen if I brought it back. Now, this other app over here that I'm showing you that renders these brush strokes with the thing, it's me doing the painting, the digital painting. It's just that the brush stroke is not, it's like kind of randomized. And the only thing that the AI part is doing is choosing the color and the texture of the stroke on the fly for me. This is the end result of something that we did using multiple brush strokes in that app of different kinds, and a little bit of like reverse erasing to like make the highlighty bits. Actually, I was just picking up on the white and overextending it. It wasn't even really erasing. And I really like the way this one came out. Oh, here we go. Here's the actual official one with the official Mr. Zeppo edit. I need to make a folder. Do I have final results up to upload next? Newest slideshow? No. Vine Art Gallery. Here we go. These ones all have to go. I don't know if I already had that. For anybody who has not seen this, this has been part of my overall like plan for a hot minute. I mean, since the beginning of the whole project of like, let's start streaming. And that's to like stream content creation that includes this fan fiction, like I want to call it fan fiction art, like pseudo art, because I acknowledge that like I'm not artist enough to have like painted this for reals, like freehand. Never in a million years. Even if okay, so 2 years ago I set up a table to be like my daily, I'm gonna do a sketch, and I did a 90-day challenge to start it off, and I got most of the way to the challenge, and then I kind of faltered, and then I never even put together the content. I was doing like a time-lapse video, and I was doing shots of all the sketches that I did, and it was random freehand sketching. Like 2% of the drawings that came out of that project I actually liked. One of them is actually hung up over there, and the other one's hung up over here. You can't see it. The camera's not powerful enough, and I don't like a zoom, and I'm not gonna walk it over there because of cables. Anyways, yeah. But we're finally coming full circle to actually doing something like this. And one of the things I'm hoping is that by sketching, I literally traced this, right? Like the blue line that I did, I was using an app. If you saw the episodes from yesterday, what was I gonna put on? I was gonna pick a thing. I don't know. Like I really want to do this character soon. I wish I had a screenshot of him with his feet, but I don't think that's even possible. Although, I guess I'll revisit that screen. The whatchamacallit. Maybe there is and I just cropped it stupid. Or there was text or something there. I can deal with text. Anyways, I sort of lost track of where I was going with all that. These are complete, right? Oh yeah. These can be removed from this folder. Boom. Remove from album. We gotta put something up here. Let's pick something. These are all things I've picked. Prior screenshots and or AI art that I've generated that I wanna. I don't know how sketching ink paint will work out. Like this is an AI generated image based on a description and I think a photo of someone I know who gave me permission to use their photo anonymously, and my own narrative description of a character. And now I want to like take this and like freehand sketch it, making some choices, some changes and stuff, etc., etc. Oh, but because we're doing like Call of Duty fan art, Call of Duty video game fan art to begin with to kick off this stuff. What I'm gonna do is I don't know what's better. Yesterday I started off thinking I would do like a little bit of this at the beginning of an episode, but what I wasn't counting on is just how much I would like get absorbed. Like if I started working on this sketch right now, I would probably spend like 2 hours doing it and then not want to play the video game right then. I'd be like, okay, I need a break. My brain just went, to art's place. So I'm not going to do that. But what I am going to do is set up for that. Because after that little experiment, please do go visit yesterday's episodes. If you're new here, hello viewers. I always say viewers plural because I'm a low level streamer and I'm trying to keep it upbeat. Otherwise, I'd get really upset of these numbers if I didn't. This is typical of any stream, of any game, of any, whether I'm doing writing or original writing or, did I just say writing twice? Whether I'm doing painting, like my digital art stuff, or working on my book series, or whatever. Oh yeah, we were gonna do this thing. Let me put you back over here. I never get like dozens of viewers, let alone multiples in the 20s, and never mind ever getting from photos, please. From album to upload next. I've never had like 50 viewers at once, let alone hundreds. Okay, so I can't help but, no, I'm not gonna touch it. I'm not gonna touch it. I'm just gonna save it here. I'm gonna do the one thing that I always forget to do. New layer. How do I lock things again? This is how I make them disappear. This is how I pick them up. I don't even know what the pen layer is, but new layer, new layer. And yeah. I can't help it. Part of me so wants to start working on this, but we won't. We're setting this up. We're going to make it its own special show segment. So starting soon, starting like today maybe even, I'll be doing like, and it'll be under the art category on Twitch and any other similar categories I can find on all you other platform viewers. And shout out to everybody on all the different platforms. By the way, I have to redundantly and annoyingly blurt out this announcement, only because why did everything change? There it is. No, that's the complicated one. Well, you know what? We haven't actually done a proper startup intro. We might just do that. Wow, I've lost track of like 3 sentences I've started, and it's not good. It's bugging me. Why am I so hazy today? Because I just woke up and I actually have not drank very much of my coffee. That's why. Right, I remember 2 of the 3 things. Stay tuned for an increasing number of, and hopefully less chaotically scheduled, regular segments about sketching and doodling. Stay tuned for more regularly scheduled episodes that focus on the Zeppoverse Wattpad book series and the hopefully like engaging public collaboration discourse process through which I want to develop it. The reason I hype the books so much is because I need the commentary to get some traction there and the readership up, because I am by nature, never mind also by training, because I then spent an entire lifetime in education and I went multiple times to university. I can't call myself a college graduate nor a university graduate because I multiple times managed to not make it to the walking for graduation part. But mind you, I got pretty decent grades, and even if I was getting bad grades, I was absorbing everything. I wasn't a bad student because I didn't like learning. I loved learning and experimentation and learning by trial by fire, etc. I still do. And I am born with hyper collaborative magic in my artistic brain. For lack of a better term, I don't know what else to call it. But by myself, it's like pulling teeth whilst beating my own face into a dead horse and bashing some other part of my body into a brick wall. That was a horrible metaphor, but you get my point. I'm going to put this in performance mode. DJ Zed, play a little music while we... This is the pregame chat lounge session of the show. Where is that? That's what I should do. So yeah, let me go back to this iPad mini version of the chat show because boom, there you go. You've got my hello, welcome to my signage. I really love this snarky picture of my... I don't know how to recreate that face. I just... Zeppoverse. I need to do the Incorrigible Mr. Zeppo is totally irrelevant media review of the book series that I'm writing, because that's a planned MacGuffin in my own fictional universe. Where am I going with this? What am I looking for? I was looking for this pregame chat lounge session time. Some days I don't want to talk at all before we get into the gaming action. Other days I'm like, this video turned into a podcast episode and we didn't play the game at all. Yesterday I derailed myself with needing to talk about something and also suddenly like letting myself get lost into making that fan art. These are just early trials, mind you. Okay? There's other apps that do other things that I want to do. Like one of the things I want to do is create even more abstract versions of the same figure using a different app that makes that uses filters to make like really weird abstract like renderings, which I've never liked fully on themselves, but then I want to take those and slap them in as layers and merge them, blend them in with whatever other, with the line art and the final product, so that there's like this layered, merged, translucent. One of the things I have the least knowledge on in graphics design, and I've studied twice. One of the things that kept me from graduating during my 2 big major tours of duty at a huge university was that I got sidetracked with all kinds of like computer related design stuff. Sound design, graphics design, video editing and design. Like, I have professional level training in all of them. Am I rusty? Am I out of touch with the most recent tools? Probably. But can I do all my own stuff, even though it's frustrating and time consuming? Abso-effing-lutely. So please be advised. That's the other thing I remembered earlier. is that please be advised, friends. This is a pin on the corkboard. I would love for someone that's a real human being that's wanting to help me grow the show in the audience. Make a clip of this, please. And or if not a human, then Eclipse. Clip that! Please cease and desist with all the friendly, chatty, I'm a real human person that's also an artist that wants to sell you my services, because I don't need it. And I feel bad having to have that conversation with you guys that clearly all work for the same evil corporation or bought the same terrible script. Boilerplate, cut and paste nonsense. Some of you execute it with slightly better sophistication and complexity than others. Dare I even say elegance and grace. Some of you make it very affable or effable. Which one is it? I think it's affable with an A. But it's still a hard no, and it literally says both in the terms of service for the platforms that you're on and in my chat rules that you click through to get into the chat. And I'm looking at you Twitch people. No services solicitations. So no, I'm not. I do my own. I should be selling. Do you want me to make graphics for you? Because I can do it. Especially if you don't mind the combo artistic merging of AI with real art. Like, I would AI an image to reference trace, then trace and change and edit the image graphically, and then re-render it as a completely new AI image, and then merge things and edit things. And it's going to be awesome. I'm going to do it for me because no one's lining up to pay me to do it for them. And I'm not judging these people. I'm sure that they are honest, sincere people. Some of them appear to be really talented, if that's really their art. Some of them appear to be really generic, and also maybe it's not their art. Some of them appear to be really interesting, entertaining, and drop-dead gorgeous women that if I met them locally, I'd be like, let's collaborate. Now, like, team up for reals. But I don't know that they are. They're probably just as fake as the ladies on the dating apps that are way out of my league and live in strange foreign countries. But anyways, I digress. Please and thank you. No more services solicitation. If anything else, someone please hire me. This is a video I made. It's not the most brilliant, but I made it and it was quick. It's quick and dirty.
Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, and good night to you, and welcome to another edition of the almost daily variety gaming live stream show Extravaganza, setting aside all those other themes and topics. So many bits of the corkboard, friends. If you want to indulge in those, come on over to my TikTok videos and watch some of the more recent videos. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, and good night to you, and welcome to another edition of the almost daily variety gaming live stream show Extravaganza, setting aside all those other themes and topics. So many bits of the corkboard, friends. If you want to indulge in those, come on over to my TikTok videos and watch some of the more recent videos, and then dig around and skip the gaming videos. But if you're here just for the gaming content, that's cool too. Welcome to the new intro to that insert name of episode here. Stand by, this live stream will begin shortly. Please be advised, this live stream is now going to be about video game content. If that bores you, if that doesn't interest you, please feel free to swap on by. If you're down to support a game content creator, please do smash that follow button and then click on through to the social medias. Visit the things on the corkboard by going to solo.to/Mr. Zeppo. Sorry for the self-promotion, but the hustle is real. I've got other kinds of content in all kinds of other formats, and I'm inviting you to check them out and engage in the ongoing collaborative activity of discussing them so that I can refine them and make them more interesting and better. That's both, that applies all to, that invitation humbly applies to my audio podcast, which is for mature audiences and mostly about socio-political themes and content that may or may not be what everyone agrees with. So brace yourselves, but also be honest. I'm there for the genuine public discourse. All trolling and hate-mongering will be called out for such, and hopefully that won't get me in trouble with the algorithms, because speaking out against that stuff, not indulging in it. I digress. Welcome to the gaming episode. I just wanted to do an intro where I have these cool laser beam eyes. And now I won't, because I can't do that on Streamlabs. Or if I can, I haven't figured out how. But we're going to drop into some Call of Duty, insert name of game here. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3.
Correction. Assassin's Creed Unity.
Please stand by for your Variety Gaming live stream show host, the incorrigible Mr. Zeppo. This live stream will begin shortly.
So yeah, thank you, friends. I don't need graphics support. I got it handled. It may not be in the style that people who claim to know the trends of the industry want it to be, but it is in a style that I like and that it works for me and that is fast and convenient for me to use. Okay, random, by the way, friends, squad teamwork is indeed recruiting. We're always recruiting. We're a relaxed and groovy in-game club, because I don't like the word clan. That's a heavy loaded term, and used by a group of people that I have no truck with. An in-game club you can find in Modern Warfare 2, in Modern Warfare 3, and if they give us the feature set in the interface, you will find us in Black Ops 6. Super chill, super relaxing, groovy. Just find the group and apply. I'll be swinging through soon to check it out. I'm promoting that to remind myself that we got to get back into Call of Duty. All right, thank you for joining me for the pregame chat lounge session. I've run out of things to ramble about, I think. Other than to remind you to please be good human beings out there in the real world as well as in the game lobbies. Because, the world needs goodness, not smarty pants a-holes with snarky junk to say to everybody. Alright, what are we doing? I'm just blanking all over the place. There was something I wanted to talk about, and then I forgot what it was. And that's what I've been trying to figure out. Over here on the Xbox, I was like, something cool on the Xbox we were going to talk about. Let's see if we can figure it out. What's going on? Oh, so there's new games that are just arrived and or are coming to, for sale to the marketplace. House of Da Vinci 3. This might be amazing as a puzzler because it's inspired by Da Vinci's work and he loved puzzles and stuff. And he was an engineer. And he inspired, so that anybody wants to buy that for me. Or maybe I don't show enough skin. Do I need to start an OnlyFans before people start supporting me as a content creator? They say that OnlyFans is also more than for just, what was that random memory just crashed? This is a side scroller, and I kind of don't like side scrollers, but it's a fun blended retro / futuristic side scroller in terms of the graphics design. Like there's elements that look like they don't fit with the pixelated image of the characters. We'll bookmark this one. I'm not into action side-scrolly platformers. I suck at those. But if it's more like puzzly, figuring it out, story narrative stuff, I can get into it. I'm not allowed to buy any more games for the rest of the year. I've got my hands full. But I love scoping them out. And if they're available for me to play... Oh, I really want to be playing the Vampire series. That's a whole nother genre of game. I mean, franchise, not genre. The genre, I'm not that interested in. This particular franchise, Masquerade, has always intrigued me. It seems to be one of the better written ones. That one doesn't seem to be a 3D one. That one seems to be like a static image game, which I don't hate, but I don't love. Is this 3D or 2D? What does that look like? Oh yeah, a 3D puzzle solver, finding things and stuff. Love it. A 2D one, less inclined, unless there's something specific about the art. There's that one game on the iPad that I've been really, really wanting to play forever. That's just like a beautiful, creepy, surreal paint puzzler. Like the painting. Is there a new cat game? Oh my god, what? Oh, I thought it was a 3D cat game of cuteness. It's a 2D. See, that's exactly the kind of game I would not be into. No offense, everybody that loves that sort of stuff. Everyone's allowed to love whatever effing game they love, as long as it's not gross and toxic. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then again, of course, you know, who judges that? But I've come across some games whose descriptions lead me to believe that they might be really gross and toxic if you play them. This is kind of cute. And the kind of game that when I was really addicted to The Sims, I would have been like, well, I need this. This is everything that's missing from The Sims. I'm over my Sims addiction. I don't know that I would really want to get this, but it looks cute. If it was on Game Pass, I would review it. You know what I mean? Because I want to be like, oh, speaking of which, why are we in this? New game releases coming to the regular store. What we should be reviewing is what's going on in Game Pass. Because if nothing else, my show is a Game Pass membership review thing. Oh, speaking of, there are some very interesting sounding recently added new games. They look great for kids and family gamers department that I'm not really going to do reviews of because I think it's weird. I don't have kids. If I had kids, me and my kids would be like, we would have a special series that happened on the weekends only because school nights is for homework. But we would be like, whatever age, all the kid-proof, kid-friendly, kid-specific games, me and my kids would be playing. Like if I had like a kid or two kids, that's what we'd be doing. But I feel, even though, I guess if I really personally wanted to play it, then sure. I guess I would feel comfortable doing it. But generally, just the idea seems a little like, wow, people are going to think it's creepy. So I don't want to do that. But, so check those out. We Heart Katamari looks interesting. Weird shaped. I'm not sure if I'm down with humanized, odd shaped things. But then again, this one looks interesting. All you need is help. And I kind of love that title. I haven't really seen, and it looks like some sort of take on Tetris or some sort of, block buildy shape matching something or another. The two of these new games that I will be taking a stab at, and maybe I should have done that today, is this Legends of Mana and Tales of Mana, which are a beloved game series that just were remastered and re-released. Not the series, but it is an iconic, classic. I'm talking from back in the day, yo. This is what I mean. Like, I didn't play this game, but I can assure you that I was aware of this game, and I had friends who were fans of this game. And this game was from 1994. I had gamer friends who were like, bro, I wasn't even born yet. And I was like, I know. I had already graduated from high school. I was in college. So, anyways, this is the 2D version, which I guess I'll add to play later. Not that I ever checked that list. And this is the 3D remake of whatever, like a sequel of it. And although, like I'm just saying, I'm not super into pixelated 2D thingies. In order to appreciate the 3D one and to get a little sense of the lore and the style, I thought I would check this out. And then, just for the purposes of teasing this, I don't know when I'm going to do this first impression review, But hopefully, in theory, it'll be soon. It is first thing on a Saturday. We might be able to fit it in sometime today if I can get my timing and my act together. But for right now, for funs and giggles, I thought we would watch the trailers for these two because they're the most recent installs, I think, from Game Pass. If you had ever heard of this, or if you ever want to have nostalgia for a game you've never played and you never heard of, because it's from before you were born, but it's probably one of those like influential games that like set the tone. Like, we probably wouldn't have games like Animal Crossing if it weren't for this kind of game and these kinds of projects from back in the day. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. Mind you, I love me some Animal Crossing. It's way too time consuming for me to play. There are games that I love the idea of and the design of and the whatever of, but that I refuse to play. That I will say, no thank you, I love you, you seem awesome, but I cannot afford to play you because in time I have all these other games I've already committed in terms of like doing this as a live stream show. Okay. Oh snap, I totally forgot to double check with... I totally forgot. I told them I would be available for Warzone today. No, but they're going to Ren Fair today. Sorry, I just saw a thing flash that Gnome Tuff says hi. I will respond to him and be like, hey, how's Ren Fair? When are you guys getting back? And do you want to play then? I gotta remember to do that. Anyways, let's enjoy this video. I'm gonna mute myself. Let's enjoy these two videos that tease out the two games I just over-introduced. Okay. I always do that and click on for just in time for the Xbox logo. I hope it sounds cool as some sort of effect. Like, my tiny delay. So you could see there, right? Like, if you did not know that this game is a remaster and a re-engineering of a game that originally came out in 1994, I think? No, 99. Loved by Mana fans since its original release in 1999. Legend of Mana comes to Xbox as an HD remaster, 25 years after its original release. So yeah, bro, we're going to play this later. See, that guy played it on his original PS1. Let's watch this thing, and then we'll get into the game we actually came here to play. I'm just letting the people know. So here's some pictures. This is like a glowed up 3D version. Different destinies, different choices. The tale of three interwoven stories begins again. A full remake of Trials of Mana, originally released in 1995 and loved to this day by many Mana fans. Finally makes its appearance on Xbox. Huzzah. I don't know. I mean, this is a beloved series. It may be absurdly Japanese, which to some gamers' tastes is adorable and super amazing. and to some gamers' preferences is actually tedious and boring. And I'm sort of right in the middle where like it really depends on so many variables. I like the British. I'm an Anglophile. I don't claim to know all things British, but I love me some from Mr. Bean to Eddie Izzard. If you have a British accent or speaking in an actual British dialect, which is more appropriate to say, I am very, very likely to become obsessed with you, especially if you do good stand-up comedy. So when it comes to like things Japanese, cultural Japanese stuff, I'm generally a fan. I love Japan. I love Japanese people. I love Japanese culture. I'm also aware that some of it is like way too specifically beyond the scope of my understanding. It's beyond my ken to grasp culturally, and that might not appreciate greatly. Having disclaimered that, let's watch the trailer and see if this is one of the things. Wait, hold on, I gotta pause here and say something. One of the things that's a little challenging for me is just how stereotypically like over sexy the ladies are in the video games. I'm a man. I'm a cis straight man. And I respect and admire people of all orientations. And I respect everyone's boundaries. And I realize that not everyone's comfortable with everything. And one of the realities of our world is that, broadly speaking, it has been a cis straight man's world for the vast majority of human civilized history. Like the history of human civilization is the history of white, cis, straight patriarchy. There's no denying that. So as someone who's understood this intellectually and disagrees with the patriarchy, has wanted to undermine it, understand it in order to take it apart, and to stand as an ally with all women in a non-sexualized fashion, while also claiming the right as a man, as a cisgendered man, who is an ally to the LGBTQI and to women's rights and to everything else. I'm an ally. And it's also like, I'm an ally. I am in allyship with myself and respectful, genuine, authentic, passionate, loving, intimate, real. I guess, some call it the divine masculine. That word's a little, that term is a little pretentious because everyone's divine, even the people who are total muckabouts and not doing it right. Divinity is everything. Full stop. So the other arguments are pointless. But I digress. We're turning this into a whole podcast episode instead of playing video games. Should have recorded a podcast episode this morning. Guess that's what's up with me. There's a lot of cringe for me because I grew up being trained to appreciate, admire, and respect the art form of artfully depicting eroticized, sexualized women from the exclusive perspective of the cisgendered male gaze, which using today's postmodern, post-feminism terminology, we should be able to understand is problematic. Whether you realized it or not, once you grasp what all of that means and that it's the product of oppression and a methodology of oppressing women, of keeping them in check, in line, only allowing them to perform certain performative behaviors and to only be certain ways. It's why we make art that way, so that we can then it's all sublimated, though. It's all subliminal psychological weirdness. And curiously, America's not alone in its hyper. There's some hypocrisy in the right wingers' aggressive anti-LGBTQI stance that the all LGBTQ people are trying to groom children into sexually inappropriate things, which is not inherently, automatically absolute truth. That's nonsense. No, pin on the corkboard. This is a thing from the podcast, and that's something we end up talking about here on this show too when I spiral out of control. No absolute statement is ever absolutely true. Find me an absolute statement that grammatically is absolutist in its construction. And I'll show you something that cannot be absolutely true because we'll find exceptions to it all the time. And so that's the thing. People will be like, well, there's always exceptions to the rule. And like, but that's not what absolutist means. And the problem is, as you know, with anything chauvinistic, with anything sexist, with anything biased that way, with anything patriarchal, with anything ethno-nationalist, with anything like that. And the reason all these things come up is because they're very prominent discussion points in the podcast, which is prevalent on my mind on a day-to-day basis. They like, what's the thing from Star Wars? Only Siths deal in absolutes. Only bigots decree things in absolutist formats, you guys. Pin on the corkboard. I need to write that down. That's a really good one. I should have... Okay, new rule. Hold on, I gotta get this ready. I just violated my own rule. Okay, new rule. And I'm trying to actualize and implement this rule. When I'm live streaming and I suddenly go off on a rant that coulda, shoulda, woulda been better suited for a podcast, I need to grab my phone and audio record it because then I can upload it as a podcast and transcribe it, which is what I'm doing now, while simultaneously narrating that idea, thought process to my nearly non-existent live stream audience. So I was in the midst of just sort of getting ready to talk about stuff. Getting ready to play a particular video game called Assassin's Creed Unity, set in France. And I opened up by first doing a little pregame chat lounge session where I discussed yesterday's derailment of my live stream show, where I set out to play Unity, but I opened each episode with a little... Well, I opened the first episode that I did, my first session when I went live to play Unity. I thought I would do a pregame chat lounge session where I would tackle a little procedural step in the fan fiction art making from a character, a screenshot of a character that's part of the game. And I ended up spending most of the day doing that and or rambling and talking about stuff that shoulda, coulda, woulda been a small like segment for a podcast episode or its own podcast episode. And that just happened to be now, so here we are. Let's come full circle. Forgive me for anyone watching the video that is live streamed. This will be a bit redundant. But I was teasing a couple of games that I'm going to be doing a first impression review of in the not too distant future. And the one that triggered the rant, or no, rant is a loaded term. Let's call it mini TED Talk, which I'm now going to reenact for you, is Trials of Mana, which recently got lovingly re-engineered for publication and being ported. I don't know how to conjugate that without just adding other words. Being ported to the Xbox. It's finally here. And I was explaining, there's another game from the Mana franchise that's also been released simultaneously, both of which were featured in the recent gaming expo show and lecture, which I think happened in Japan somewhere. I wasn't paying that close of attention to the industry. I kind of heard about it after the fact. But I digress. The first one was originally a isometric 2D sprite-based left, right, up, down scroller adventure RPG. Standard stuff. Well, it's from 1999, so seminal and influential game. I don't have the name of it in front of me, but it's like something of mana. The something of mana. Just like this is called the Trials of Mana. And this other one is full 3D. So we have, instead of pixelated little 2D characters, we have fully rendered 3D characters. And I'm looking at the beginning of the trailer. I was about to play the trailer, and I was over-explaining that I'm probably going to love and appreciate the first game, but choose not to play it for the reasons that I have that are purely about me budgeting my time. And then this other one, Trials of Mana, I was like, I don't know if I'm going to love it or hate it, because as a 3D RPG, one of the other concerns is that I love Japanese culture, much like all things related to being an Anglophile. I guess I don't know what the technically correct term is. I don't think it's Japanophile, right? They probably use the original language term, and I don't know what that is right off the top of my head. But I digress. But I don't completely fetishize Japanese culture or the Japanese people. I mean, I think that's kind of bad. I have loved artwork that originates specifically of their culture in a powerful way. Things like, for example, Berserker. I would never claim to be a carte blanche anime fan. I would lose whatever fun pissing contest. It's not a peeing contest. If you change it to peeing, it just turns into like, something wrong? Are you okay? As opposed to you're trying to prove you're a man. I would fail. I would lose whatever kind of man-to-man or woman-to-man nerd contest of like who knows more about manga, who knows more about anime, who knows more about video games from Japan. I don't have that. I'm not that kind of nerd. But like, I love Ghost in the Shell. And I magically, mysteriously found and then lost the one and only, either unlicensed or it was licensed and then lost it or something happened, first-person shooter video game, just when the graphics on PC got perfect. They, were just like, better than Doom, no jagged lines, everything, everything got curvy. And then the point of the TED Talk was that I noticed in the artwork for this Trials of Mana that the ladies are, in classic Japanese art style, a little extra on the buxom and sexy and wearing skimpy outfits. Now, this is nothing new in video games. This is nothing new in comic books. This is nothing new in media, right? Either in American media or in media around the world. Now, it's different. It's been taken to different levels. And what I was acknowledging for my live stream audience, and I'm now trying to recapture for my podcast audience, is that, and I'm not trying to brag here, this is not a flex. I believe that this is a calling to all men in our world. If there's a point to life, is to become self-aware and self-actualized in going, oh man, none of this is okay. Most of this is very much not normal. And the human species needs to heal and transcend and evolve away from and abdicate these toxic things. One of them is, of course, patriarchy and its extremely toxic psychological manipulation tools that are all inherently, generally speaking, because it's patriarchy, chauvinist or sexist, right? And I should have grabbed the phone and started the recording to make this a podcast episode when I sensed the fact that I was going to have to say the following sentence. We have to be frank with ourselves in a take responsibility and step up to it as the men who have inherited this mess. Right? As I said to myself yesterday or the day before, we are either all down to lift each other up, and that has to be everyone, like, all or nothing. Or we just accept that we're going to let everyone shit in everyone else's mouths, and that we will get pooped on, and that we will probably give into it and poop on others. And I often go to great lengths to caveat anything I might say and to argue against other people using this tactic. Absolutist statements are almost never absolutely true. And I also throw out the challenge. Somebody bring to my attention a factually correct, grammatically absolutist statement that is absolutely true. And by that, I mean has zero exceptions. If you bring me a statement to which I go, well, this is an exception to that, so it's not absolutely true, and your response is, well, there's always exceptions to the rules, then you need a dictionary, because you do not know what absolutist means, especially when translated and, sort of transmorgified into ideological statements. And one of the things that is that this brings to our attention is that, like, patriarchy isn't absolutely true, right? Like, and it's wrong. Well, as a young person, I came to a realization, right? And then I questioned it and tested it and verified it for the rest of my life growing up. And I continue to do so. But I am firm in this conviction. I stand on a hill which I will not die on. I will preach and raise other people up. That as a man, no matter what kind of man you've thought of yourself as being, no matter what kind of identity construct you are attached to and cling to, no matter how you define your masculinity, the goddess Mother Nature, Gaia herself, the giver of life, the cosmic divine mother that is, and this is not about making the universe cis-heteronormative, because even non-cisgendered people have what we talk about in terms of, like, the polemic of male and female energies or attributes, right? And when we talk about divinity, we're not talking about the tools involved in the material packaging. We're talking about their divine energies. Although, we must also loop back on that statement. In my humble opinion, after a lifetime of seeking and questioning, I've come to the conclusion, which would be very difficult for me to change away from. It would require massive amounts of evidence, like direct phenomenological evidence, because my conclusion is based on direct phenomenological evidence that I've experienced and that I think other people can experience too. It's just very effing elusive and tricky and requires a lot of purging of mind filters. But put a pin on the corkboard right there, friends, because that's a whole nother discussion for another day. Whatever else planet Earth is, however else we might understand planet Earth, the one thing, the one aspect, the one attribute about it that everyone casually neglects, and I mean this in a non-absolutist way, plenty of people understand this, millions, I'm sure, but that society, in a broad stroke, generalized way, with all the caveats for the exceptions, obviously, because this is not an absolutist statement, society at large does not encourage us to relate to her that way. Does not really empower us to realize that this quote-unquote place, and I put it in sarcasm quotes because a place is a locality made up of a collection of inanimate objects that is separate from some other locality, which is made up of a collection of inanimate objects. And that definition is flawed. One of the reasons I have a disagreement with both the flat earth community and those arguing against them, which can generally be tidied up, can be generally summarized as the globe earth community, is that both theories at a technical level, except for the variants that are exceptions, both theories, broadly speaking, have no acknowledgement of the reality, measurable and tangible and personally confirmable, that whatever else Mother Earth is, she is alive. She is a living system of living systems, and taken as a cumulative whole, she is a living, divine, cosmic, planetary uterus. I like using the technical term. Womb often, unfortunately, gets understood as room, especially by automated transcribing software. So uterus is a little stronger. And it's a little bit more graphic. And I'm not trying to be gross. And I'm not trying to objectify women. I'm trying to point out that this is a reality that the human species struggles with, has struggled with, used to be deeply intuitively in connection with. Long before we invented such nonsensical and toxic ideas as the elite and elitism, the privilege and elitism of white ethno-nationalist patriarchy. Okay, so this is all triggered because I realize I'm promoting a game that I'm going to do a review of, and I realized I should put out the disclaimer that it might contain character design art and rendered characters that are a little extra sexy and may also simultaneously feel like a game targeted at young people, which, especially in puritanical American psychological terms, would be considered gross. And that, obviously does have its problematic issues because of what was discussed before I turned on the tape recorder, which inspired me to turn on this tape recorder. And that's that, unfortunately, no matter how you slice it, if you take an open-minded enough and honest enough review of your own personal life history and the realities of generational societal history, we have all been raised for centuries in a societal psychological conditioning system, because that's what culture is. Pin on the corkboard. Discussed it before in the podcast. We'll have to discuss it again, I'm sure. Let's not go spiraling out of control right here in this moment about that. But we've been all raised in this. And I'm not trying to build a conspiracy theory of something evil here. F that. Never mind that. I'm just talking about the fact that the human species needed a way to hand down information. Created it, let it become meta, and then super meta, or like, what's another? Uber meta, and then became unconscious. Almost a living force unto its own will culture, right? We don't choose the cultures we are conditioned under. We can only choose how we respond to that cultural conditioning when we understand that it is cultural conditioning and that it is implicitly a part of our perceptual matrices of filters, right? Like, and pin on the corkboard in the podcast and on the live stream shows, we have gone on some sidebars about perception and how it actually works, where the convergence of the scientific and the meta psycho-spiritual descriptions converge. If we really focus on that and understand that and explore it without preconceived notions, one ultimately arrives at the understanding, at the comprehension that perception does indeed work the way that certain guy, what was it? I forget if the term for him is guru. He may have had his controversies, but he also knew some shit. He may have been controversy free, but Muji, I don't know how he pronounces it. Something that starts with an N, has a J in the middle, and ends with an I. Please forgive me, I never heard it pronounced very often. But he said something to the effect of, you are simultaneously, and I'm probably butchering the quote, but I did make a meme of it that is word for word accurate. Somewhere, it's floating around somewhere on the internet. I'm surprised that never went viral. But we all are, to paraphrase, we all are, as individuals, as members of the human species, psychophysiologically and spiritually, simultaneously, the following things all at once. We are the perceiver doing the perception. We are the lens of perception filtering said perception. And we are the object being perceived. So we are perception incarnate, perceiving. That isn't even anymore a recap of what his quote was. That's me extrapolating from it. So go find his quote. I have it somewhere on my Instagram. But he breaks it down in 3 parts and connects it to something that Jesus taught. Or maybe it was a Jesus teaching that was interpreted by a saint somebody. I forget. But he's pointing out the simple reality that, as I pointed out in another episode recently, we have always been each other. And as a man that has come to a deep understanding of that in an iterative fashion over many episodes in life, and probably over many lifetimes, since reincarnation is inherently real but does not function in the way popular culture imagines it, because if we've always been each other, then we've always been everyone that has ever been, right? And if we really grasp that and understand it intellectually, understand it emotionally, understand it subliminally, understand it, if we overstand it, understand it, innerstand it, outerstand it, as someone else put it. I don't forget who made that term up, but it's a great one. Because everyone underestimates the meaning of understanding, and that there are other perspectives from which we could stand to perceive and achieve comprehension. As a man who processes these things, I realize there's a lot of cringe in like male culture of the male, all the cultural expressions of the patriarchal dominance of the male gaze has been, always was, continues to be problematic. And as men, we can't point the fingers and go, well, I didn't do it. It's not me. I'm not. We just need to step up and be like, real men don't do that. Yes, we find women attractive. And yes, we appreciate when women do things that are attractive. And yes, it's okay to celebrate beauty and attractiveness. But y'all, we've taken it too far. And that happened a long time ago. We took it so far as to oppress women and objectify them, dehumanize them, and make their beauty more important in art than it is in life. And we stripped that beauty of the inner components, of the mental, spiritual, energetic, psychological components. So like when in popular cultural terms, if we say beautiful woman, what most average people who are not this kind of self-aware yet, because they haven't been exposed to it, they just think of some popularized, objectified, visually glorified, visually lusted after celebrity woman that was formative in their youth in defining their stereotypes of what sexualized womanhood optimally might be. And the truth is, like, as women have spent lifetimes trying to explain to men, like doing that to ourselves as men, doing that to women, doing that to ourselves collectively as a species, has produced nothing but toxicity and oppression, and must be questioned, must be understood, analyzed in order to be effectively dismantled. And in order to do that, as I thematically return to, because it is the central point of my message, in order to do that, we must step up to the responsibility of acknowledging that even if we thought we were good guys our whole lives, we screwed up because we could not avoid the conditioning. We were bombarded by it every moment of every day, from the sublimated patriarchy in our family's language to the not so hidden sexism in marketing and entertainment, etc. And while there's nothing inherently wrong in depicting beautiful and attractive characters, there are boundaries and limits, and those must be respected. And we won't build consensus on that until, as men, we all step up to that responsibility of saying, hey, my brothers in manhood, I don't care what identity, what label you cling to, who you think you are, how much better you think you are than other men. Your manhood, i.e., the perceived importance and value of your genitalia, because that's what that is, does not give you or anyone, or nor me, the right to either consciously be rude, derogatory, degenerate. There's a word I'm trying to say that degenerate got in the way of. Degrading, disrespectful, and either subliminally or overtly, whether we understand it or not yet, it doesn't give us the right to get away with it. Quote unquote, boys will be boys is not okay. So we must be vigilant, hold each other accountable, especially in our real life relationships. When it comes to the men we relate to on a day-to-day basis, whether they are our brothers, whether they are our fathers and uncles, whether they are our elders, or they are our equals as in age range, or whether they are the younger generations of men in our lives, if they are acquaintances at the stores that we go to, or the pubs that we attend, that we socialize at, or they are close work friends, or lifelong good buddies, or best friends, or whatever. It's been said there's plenty of men doing this work. The problem is there are way too many men out there that are unhealthy in and of themselves, have unhealthy, hypersexualized, dehumanizing mental constructs that were implanted in them beyond their control and without their own consent because they were raised in patriarchy. And thus, it's way past time. It's overdue, folks. We must all step up to the responsibility of saying, yeah, I'm a part of it. I may not be, excuse me, as men, we must not paint all men with a absolutist brush. Just as, we wouldn't, right? Here's the irony. Based on real life encounters I've witnessed and interacted with, real life public discourse in public places, eye to eye with acquaintances and random strangers that strike up conversation and or, people I've known a long time, and of course, my lifetime's worth of public discourse on social media, because I literally, and this is a flex, this is an intentional flex, to anybody out there who's trying to argue against me, I've been having conversations like this with people like you since before AOL launched. I don't remember the exact date, but you might want to look it up. Check to see if you were even alive at the time. Look in your mind and remember if you were even capable of using the internet yet. Because years before AOL launched, I remember early access to a RapNet. Well, I didn't have early access to a RapNet because a RapNet existed before I was here in this country. But I remember oh, this is what the internet is? Interesting. And if you just dropped a RapNet, people would be like, what are you talking about? 90% of people today would be like, I'd have to look that up to know what it was. But I digress. It's not about men fighting men and getting confrontational. It's about all of us realizing that even amongst the best of us, we've stumbled, failed, have had flaws, have been the man that hurt a woman, even if we didn't mean to. even if we didn't realize we were doing it. And that all of it is interconnected at a psychokinetic, psychospiritual, emotional, frequency, biomagnetic, species-wide level. When I talk about the neglected species-wide trauma that desperately needs healing, it isn't some abstract thing. It's a deep-rooted, generational, culturally perpetuated issue that is central, in my opinion, to just about everything that is culturally toxic, abusive, and unacceptable. And we can argue for another set of millennia over which ideology is the most righteous and true, or we can heal ourselves, we can chuck all this bullshit ideology, and we can repair the damage that we caused ourselves, generationally speaking. Because we have always been each other. Our parents were us, separated by time, context, and and ego matrix and ideological conditioning. That's what I got to say about that, folks. As always, thank you for tuning in. Until next time, please be good human beings to each other out there in the real world, as well as in the game lobbies. Okay, live stream audience, you just being here on the live stream just made me go into podcast mode. I need a title for this. And I need to put my glasses on. I keep trying to do work without my glasses, and it's just making my eyesight worse. Impromptu. Okay, here we go. Get rid of this extra label. I don't need that anymore. That was wild. See, this is what my podcast is like. Whether it gets triggered, and hopefully I actually end up doing this more often. As weird as that was. I shoulda, coulda, woulda changed and I don't know if I can change it after the fact on Nemo or YouTube or Trovo or Kick. In fact, I suspect that I probably can't. So to all of you viewers that are watching this, especially anybody after the fact, watching it, in the not too distant future, I apologize for the misleading title. But for all of you who might be watching this on Twitch, this has been today's pregame chat lounge session. Getting the podcast writer's block out of the way before we jump. You know what? This is officially what I'm going to do every day before we start. Whether I've got a game in mind or not, whether I've decided that yet or not, the very first thing we're going to do every day is this. We're going to do an unplanned, impromptu pregame chat lounge session where we talk about what's going on in gaming and then just hope for inspiration. And then if lightning strikes, you'll join me impromptu, unplanned, unexpected for a mini TED Talk episode podcast production. This is going to go up there real, raw, radically unscripted, and without music because I didn't think to make that happen. And I got to take a break because I trashed my voice doing that. It's funny, like my sexiest voice combined with the fact that I am a cannabis enthusiast and that I drink too much coffee, which is very dehydrating. Like that gets me to the place where I really like the graveliness of my voice. But then if I use that in a theatrical way, the way I do when I'm narrating stuff, I won't be able to talk tomorrow. So you must forgive me. I need to take a break, do all the things about renaming this episode and recategorizing it to the right category, and hydrating and fixing up the whole thing. So thank you for joining me, friends. This was today's unexpected pregame chat lounge session with mini podcast creation content embedded in between. And I am immediately taking a break because my vocal cords are like, you ass, you did not make tea for this. And then you talked for an hour. So I really need to patch that up. I'm going to make some tea and hydrate so that my voice does not fail during the course of the rest of the day. Thank you for watching. Where's my other logo? Oh, man, I really should have not slided it that way. Thank you for watching. Please come on down to solo.to/Mr. Zeppo and join me in multiple platforms of varying types of content creation projects. Ciao for now. Forgive me once more, friends, for letting today's episodes get totally out of control. I apologize to all of you who may have started this out hoping we'd finally get into Unity, and we totally didn't. But that was all. That was all worth saying out loud, I think. And yeah, we'll be back soon. Peace.